All right. Okay. Now we can still. All right. Fair enough. Click on that web paint. All right. That will do. Let's have a look. All right. So yes, we were here. As I mentioned earlier, uh, some would go with something like this. Personally, I would prefer to do something like, all right, the color. I choose a dark color one. All right, fair enough. No. All right. So I don't know about you, but since this is probably new to some of you, I might as well just state my preference. Yeah. In my case, mine is always integer. Oh, what's wrong with this? Integer, main, parentheses, curly bracket, and end with the curly bracket. Yeah. There is no wrong, or there is no wrong answer. You can do something like this, or you can also perform code using something like this. No problem. But personally, my preference is always like this. Again, uh, I don't know whether you've seen this, but sometimes it will come up on Facebook. There are two different types of people. One is to code with this scheme, and the other will code with this scheme. Entirely up to you, right? To say the least, I prefer the one that I write. Oh, it's not gone. Can I clear?
Yeah, I think you need to clear it because it stay on the screen, not on the slide.
Laser. How do you clear? How do you clear that?
Can you do like undo, like the back arrow?
I understand, but then again, it should be supposedly should be a way to clear. Click extension to reopen. Quit.
How about that recycle bin symbol?
Erase all. There you go. Better. Thank you. Now move along. Basic program components. These are the introductory commands. The commands are not executed by the compiler and they are used only to allow the readability of the program. As I mentioned earlier, line command allows you to write a single line. Yeah, line command allows you to write a single line. There you go. Only one line. When it gets to the end, the next line will not be treated as a command. Right? This can be integrated. This is also a line command. Yeah. Whereas, if you want to write on multiple lines, you may need to use the block command. Yeah, you need to use the block command. You have to use the / and asterisk. You close that with the asterisk and /. So, using some compiler, you may notice a different color that they implement. In this case, it's a different blue, isn't it, compared to IOStream. This refers to the library, but here, this is a comment. Yeah, notice different color,
Yeah, it's grayed out.
slightly grayed out. So, uh, personally, I find that having comments really helps. Yeah, I find that having program really helps in your programming practice. Basic, again, on the basic program components, we have the include. Include is the preprocessor directive or the library. Why need for the library? Because without a library, you cannot use certain functions in C++. What are the functions? As I mentioned earlier, IO stream allows you to use C in and C out. Yeah. So include IO stream. Sometimes you need to put IO stream alone. Sometimes you may need to put IO stream.h. Yeah. By default, you have to include the .h by default. But then again, on some compiler, if you put a .h, it won't run. So you remove the .h. You simply put IO stream. Right? By default, always with the .h. And the IO stands for input output. Math.h declares prototypes for math functions and math error handlers. Font IO declares various functions used in calling the operating system console. So con for console IO. The word main, which must be typed in lowercase letters, is the name of the function. Again, here, main, I changed the color to red. Is it red now? No, hold on. No, it's black. So I changed the color to red to denote that to write something. There you go. Here, main must be in lowercase. The void main is referred to as a function header because it marks the beginning of the function. Every C++ program has a function called main. So now we're working on C++. For the program to run, you must have main because this will be the main program. All right. Without the main program, main function, your program will not work. In Java, it's called something else, if I'm not mistaken. But then again, you come along when you learn about Java. But for now, C++, it's always main. Now, so we have the preprocessor or the library, command, and main. Now, the next component, a variable, is an identifier that refers to a memory location which can hold values. Variable can only store one value at a time. Thus, the content of variable may change during the program execution. Before it is used, it must be declared with its data type. Yeah, notice the data type is important. Yeah, in C++, it is important. Now, what is a variable then? So it says that it's identifier. So you want to store something. In order for you have, suppose that you have 10 apples. How do you want to carry 10 apples? You need a container. All right, you need a container. For example, you have a basket. That basket is the identifier. So you can put the apples inside the basket, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Depending on the number of apples, it can be 1, it can be 10. But you need a basket to put that into. So similarly here in C++ or any programming language, you need to have that basket, which is the variable. And since you can have many different baskets, you name those variables. Yeah, you have to name those baskets. And what can name be? Name can be anything that can help you remember. For example, we have used age as a variable, yeah, as a variable identifier. Rules in naming variables. There you go. The first character must be an alphabet. The first character must be an alphabet. You cannot start with or an underscore, of course. You cannot start with any other characters. Only alphabet or the underscore. Can only consist of letters, digits, and underscore. Cannot use C++ reserved word. This is where some students, including myself, when I started to code, made some mistakes sometimes. Yeah, reserved words, because we are still not familiar with the reserved words, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So sometimes you may come across this problem, but depending on the situation and the selection of keywords that we use to name your variable, there must be no blank space character in between, and identifiers are case sensitive. Very important also, case sensitive. Yeah, but you will be familiar and get comfortable with your own naming convention style. Yeah, as you code later on. Always, yeah, only alphabet or underscore. Only letters, digits, and underscore. You cannot put special characters, for example, a dollar sign, or the ampersand, or the asterisk. Not possible. Cannot use reserved words. Yeah, reserved words are quite reserved words in C++ quite a plenty. You can check whether your variable identifier is a reserved word or not. Example of reserved word: int, char, long, float, all of these. Private, public, while, return, break, class, these are the things. Yeah, that can be mistaken. Suppose that we create a program on students. Yeah, you name your variable as class. That will yield some problem. Okay, these are some of the reserved keywords in C++. Any questions so far?
Sir,
Yeah,
what is case sensitive?
case sensitive, you cannot mix uppercase and lowercase. No, not to say you cannot mix. Uh, Uppercase will be treated differently than the lowercase. Suppose that you put H, integer, H, integer, H. When we read, they are the same, correct?
Yes.
But then again, in C++, this refers to a different memory location. This refers to a different memory location. Two different things. If you declare your variable name as H, you must use H with capital A throughout your code. You cannot use lowercase a because they will refer to different things. This is case sensitive. Okay, this is case sensitive. If you want to use everything in lowercase, you have to keep using everything in lowercase. Entirely up to you. But there is nothing wrong with this. Now, both are correct. Only that you have to know which one that you are using. Understand?
Yes.
Now, move along to the data types of your variable. The types define the type of data a variable can hold. For example, an integer variable can hold integer data. A character type variable can hold character data. And these are examples of data types. We have int, referring to the integer. Long for long integer. Notice here, the difference between int and long. Bit width is 32. This is double the size. Double the size. So, for integer, values will range from that. If the number is larger than that, you may have to use long, because long can go from there to there. Integer for the values between minus 32,768 to 767. Short integer, 16-bit. There you go. Up to 127. Unsigned, from 0 to 65535. Char. Char referring to only a single character. Char name with square bracket and the length. That's how you assign a value. Notice the difference. What's the difference? If you only use a single character, you have to use single quote. If you want to put in a string of characters, you put double quote. Yeah, double quote. And you have to use the character next to enter. Yeah, the enter in keyboard, the character next to that is the one that you use. We have had example in the past where students use for double quote, they type in twice that character next to enter, because next to enter we have a single quote, isn't it?
Yes.
Unless you press shift. But we have had experience where students type in the single character twice, single quote twice to represent double quote. It's not possible. Yeah, that is not possible. The reason is that for every character, there is a corresponding ASCII value. So if you put double single quote, you have a different ASCII value. Not possible. You have to use shift and that character. Yeah, double quote character. What else? We have float, which is a floating point. Approximately 6-digit precision. Yeah, 6 digits precision. Double, approximately 12-digit precision. And this is essentially why I prefer to use float, because normally I only deal with small numbers. Yeah, if I were to have a very precise number, then only I will use double. Again, it's entirely up to you, and it's entirely case by case. Yeah, this is case by case. If you have to use float, you might as well use float. But otherwise, you can always use double. Only that if you use double, you will be using larger memory as opposed to float. But that's just about it, basically. Nowadays, computers, they come with large memory, isn't it?
Yeah. Got 1 terabyte.
Generally, we don't care. Yeah, even if you use double or float, we still consider this to be correct. The next data type is bool, which is Boolean. Yeah, have you come across the term Boolean?
No, not yet.
Boolean only has 2 answers, either true or false. Yeah, Boolean only has 2 answers, either true or false. You can put, for example, bool. ans equal true. Or you can also use bool ans equal 1. True is equivalent to 1 for Boolean. Okay? False is equivalent to not in Boolean. Sometimes you only need a simple answer, either true or false, so you can use Boolean. And void here, as the name suggests, void, valueless. It doesn't contain any value. Notice in the example program, this is in. Now everything is in. But the last time we've come across void main, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Void main meaning to say it doesn't return any value if you use void. But some compilers does not allow you to put void in main, but you can put void in your own functions later. Right? For now, try to understand the data types of your variables. Integer, long, short, unsigned, char, float, double, bool, void. And as we go along, but these are the things that we would normally use. Yeah, honestly, this is common. 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 And this is common. Mostly, these are all the data types that we normally use. Int, char, float, double, bool, void. Of course, void only for function. But for normal variables, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the 5 things. We hardly going to use long, short, or unsigned. Hardly. Yeah? Only these 5. Not so much, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, not so much. Now, move along. Next is the string data type. It's not part of that. It's a separate one. A string. Programmer-defined type supplied in standard library, sequence of zeros or more characters enclosed in double quotation marks. Null. A string with no characters. Each character has a relative position in string, and the position of a character is not the position of the second character is 1, and so on. The length is number of characters in string. What is a string? A string is similar to this. Similar to this. Yeah? And you put your values in double quote. Don't you think we are going to be using a lot of strings later? What do you think?
We will use it, but not a lot. Maybe sometime.
Yes, depending on the situation, but then again, I'm sure you will come across the term string later on because you're going to be dealing with characters as well, especially name, perhaps student ID. Yeah, personally, I prefer to use string for student ID. Why?
Because so we cannot do calculation on it.
Because we normally don't do calculation, correct? Yeah, we don't do calculation on the student ID, do we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we would only normally treat that as a string, not as a number that we want to calculate. So what's the point of using values, numbers? Programmer, you need to include string, and more than likely string.h. Yeah, string.h. String name equals John, and this is wrong connotation. Yeah, basically this is a wrong connotation. You cannot use like this. Yeah, you cannot use double quote like this. You will only get a double quote like this in Microsoft Word, but in programming, this is not allowable. Please understand the difference. Yeah, or see the difference. Notice here, the double quote is like a normal conversation sort of thing, but in programming languages, we only use the basic one, the one that you can find in, for example, let's see Notepad. Let's have a look at Notepad. Yes, this is the one, the plain basic one. Yeah, we use the plain basic one. Sometimes, for example, if I were to write in Word, Right. Notice they changed. They changed that to something else. True?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it changed to something else.
be careful when you copy your text from some other documents. We do not want this type of character. We do not want this type of double quote. We want the basic one. The basic one looks like this. So see, if you copy from Notepad and paste it here, there you go. Notice the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One is slanted and the one is straight.
there you go. So that's it basically. And move along. Syntax. How do you write your data type and your variable name? That's how you do that. We have data type and the variable name. Single declaration, multiple declaration. Single declaration, I'm sure you have seen me coding with something like this, isn't it? Integer num1, num2, and sum.
Yeah.
Or you can do that on separate lines. This is also possible. If you put to do it this way, typing so many lines, you may do that. But if you are like me, I would do something like this. It's easier. Yeah, and I save the number of lines that I code. But there is nothing wrong, whichever approach that you use. Absolutely, there's nothing wrong. So, how many slides are there? I don't know how many slides. All right, only 23. And we are currently in slide number base identifier. All right, 14. You have 10 more slides to go. Once a variable is declared, it contains non-useful value, garbage. To make it useful, the variable must be given a value either by assignment statement. Okay. The value serves as initial value to the variable. A variable can be initialized to any value as long as the value's data type matches the variable's data type. C++ has several assignment operators. The most commonly used assignment operator is the equal sign. The assignment operators using the equal sign has the general form like this. Identifier equal expression, where identifier generally represent the variable and expression represents a constant, a variable, or more complex expression. All right, fair enough. Let's have a look. What does this mean? You can put, you want, this is declaration. Integer num. When you declare num, it will allocate a memory location for num. All right? When it allocates that particular memory location, depending on the situation, suppose there are values inside here, it will remain inside here. This is declaration. You can assign the values into it. For example, num equal naught. Then only you change the value inside that num to eraser and becomes naught. Right? Declaration and assignment. But there's also another one. You can declare and initialize. Declare and initialize is when you do something like this. Integer num equal naught. So you declare a variable and you initialize with a value of naught inside that particular variable. It's possible any which way. Yeah, it's possible. Why do I have to stress on this? Sometimes when you declare num, integer num, but underneath here you put num equal num plus 10, for example. Now, if you did not initialize or assign a value to start with naught, chances are the initial values in num will be added into your calculation. So your calculation will be wrong. This is why you have to either assign or initialize the variable first. Yeah? It's an unlikely case, but then again, it's best to be safe than sorry, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, best to be safe than sorry. To assign a value for a numeric data type, integer number, number equal 50. To assign a value for a char data type, char code, code equal x. To assign a value to an array of characters, char title 19, string copy. Notice now we use string copy. We cannot simply make a simple assignment, but we do string copy, strcpy. And of course, in order for you to use string copy, you must include string.h. And finally, to assign a value from an expression, total equal number 1 plus number 2 plus number 3. or I was saying earlier, num equal num plus 10. Yeah, num equal num plus 10. So num plus 10 will be assigned to num. Num will get new value. Any question? Right, let's have a look. Later we'll start to do some exercise. A variable whose value does not change throughout the program execution. Allow you to give name to a value that is used several times in the program. Usually constant name is capital to distinguish from other variables. Two ways of declaring a constant. Using constant keyword const float phi equals 3.142. Using preprocessor directive define phi 3.1342. So either way is possible. Yeah, either way is possible. Whether you want to use const float phi equal 3.142, this is correct. So you declare an identifier, a variable called phi, which is constant. You cannot change the value. The type of this particular identifier is float. Or you can use the preprocessor directive, define phi, then the value, regardless whether this is what type, what is the type. You simply put the value. It will adjust that accordingly. So define is similar to include. Are they not? So define, include. This is the on the preprocessor part. So example is here. Constant float phi equals 3.142. Or you define phi 3.142. Either way is possible. Suppose that you declare phi using the constant keyword. Area equals phi multiplied by tau radius 2. Notice area equals phi multiplied by tau radius 2. What is tau?
Power.
Oh, power, isn't it?
Yeah.
Power. Power is a function exists in the math library. That's why you have to include math.h. Okay. Now phi has been declared as a constant. Again, here on this side, if you define using preprocessor, you can still access the variable as well. No problem. Either way is possible. Yeah? Question?
Yes. What's the difference between define and include?
Define and include.
Yeah.
When you include, you want to include a library. You want to import a library. When you define a variable, an identifier.
Oh, all right.
Only one identifier. Okay?
Okay.
Right. Something that we are familiar with by now. See out. Okay? See out with the arrow sign is used to send output to the screen. So in order for you to use see out, you have to include IO stream. See out, enter two numbers. See out 15 multiplied by 2. You will send whatever comes after the arrow sign into the monitor. Yeah, it will send them into the monitor. You will send the results here to the monitor. Yeah, console out. Okay, now here total is send this first, followed by the total. Send that next. Backslash n, here backslash n refers to new line. Okay, backslash n is new line. ENDL is end line. Okay. Right, as much as they achieve the same output, but they work differently. When you put ENDL, it will move the cursor until the end of the line. It will start with a new line. Yeah, it will use up all the other characters on the same line and move to the next line. Whereas backslash n, you simply move to the next line. But they achieve the same result, no worries. Question? No. Cin is used to get data from keyboard. Preprocessor directives include IO stream, must be used in order to handle output statement, no, input statement. Cin. The other type of input is gets variable name, cin.getLine variable name length, and getLine cin string variable. The gets variable and getLine cin string variable should be handled by preprocessor directives standard IO. While cin.getLine, you include string.h. So, understand here by looking at this without further explanation. Yes or no?
Najwan said no.
Najwan? Now, first, let's have a look at cin. Okay, let's have a look at cin. Cin can handle many types of data, no problem. Cin name, we can do that. But the problem with cin is that it cannot handle names such as Ahmad bin Ali. Yeah, string, for example, user put in Ahmad bin Ali. Why? Because there are spaces in between, correct?
Yes.
So
Yes.
when you enter Ahmad bin Ali, cin will treat this as three separate input. Ahmad bin and Ali. Three separate inputs. And they must be assigned to three separate variables. So cin cannot handle data such as this. How do you accept that? You can either use gets variable name, cin.getLine variable name length, or getLine cin string variable. All right. What's the difference? We put string. Name. Yeah, string name. So if we were to use string name, on the preprocessor, we have to include string.h. Correct?
Yes.
Yes, because we want to use string. So we have to include string.h. Fine. Now, we want to use gets. Name. That's possible. Gets name is possible. But gets is derived or taken from standard I/O. If you want to use gets, you have to include another one. Include standard I/O.h. Then only you can use gets. The same thing if you want to use get line. Get line also taken from standard I/O.h. You have to include that. But if you do not want to use get or get line, you do not have to include that. You simply write after string.h, you simply write cin.getLine. Cin.getLine, you pass name as a variable and how many characters? Suppose 50 characters. Yeah. Cin.getLine, variable name, and the length should be handled by the processor string.h. So cin.getLine, name 50. It will accept any name as long as it's within the 50 characters. Understand? Generally, I would prefer to use cin.getLine. I hardly use gets or getLine. I mainly use cin.getLine because I didn't have to include another library. They're not that big anyway. It's just that if you were to use standard I/O, then you can include the library. But then again, the program can be somewhat confusing as well at times. So I'll just stick with one. Simply include string and use cin.getLine. All right?
Okay.
Now, cin.getLine is used to read the entire line of input from user as a string, including blank space and new line characters. To use string predefined functions, string.h header must be included in the program. The syntax take the form cin.getLine. All right, we've seen that one earlier. Indicates that the text variable used to store a string of characters, and 80 is the maximum length of the variable text can store. Example of input statement. Now, we're coming into numeric characters. To input numeric data type, integer num1, float num2, cin num1, num2, and user input 10 and 5.5. 10 will go into num1, 5.5 will go into num2. It doesn't matter whether user type 10, enter, 5.5, enter. They're the same thing. They will go to the respective variable. Or user can input 10 space 5.5. Num1 and num2 will get the values respectively. To input two character data types, letter and symbol, char. Input A and hashtag. Yeah. So everything will be treated as a character instead of number. Char customer 80 gets customer name. You see, this is where it can get confusing because it shows you two different approaches, 1 and 2. Personally, I stick with just this one. Yeah, I'll just stick with this one. Yeah. Now, free. There you go. Free. 3 ways to get the value. So I'll just stick with number 2. Integer main, char text 80. C out, enter a line of text. C in the get line 80. C out, you have entered text. ENDL. Return not. Enter a line of text. Have a nice day. You have entered have a nice day. So we've seen this one with name the last week. Didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Please enter your name. C in string. Now this is of course using preprocessor standard IO. Get line C in string. C out. Hello string. Welcome to GFG. There you go. And we've also seen this as well. We concatenated a string. Notice here, hello. We printed here, hello. And a space, string. That for the string that user has entered. Space, welcome to GFG. Concatenate that again with that one. Okay. Any question? End of chapter 2, part 1. All right, that's the end of chapter 2, part 1. Let's attempt some exercise. Let's attempt some exercise. How about if you try to code for the tutorial, question number 3.
Sure.
Yeah, question number 3. You write the program by assuming retirement age for a government staff is 60 years old. You need to calculate the retirement year based on the age and current year input by the user of your program. There you go. Start working on that.
All right.
How long do you reckon it's going to take you?
30 minutes.
Hey! Hey! Let's go with 10 minutes first.
All right.
All right, let's go with 10 minutes first.
Okay.
Yeah, the rest of the class, is that all right?
Yes. Okay.
Yes. We'll start with 10 minutes. See how far you've come after 10 minutes. All right.
All right.
And we'll add on the time accordingly afterwards. So go into classroom in the lab tutorial, start working on question number 3 only on the implementation. Only on the implementation. Yeah. Open Dev CPP and start coding. I'll see you in 10 minutes. Alright, there you go.
I don't know what to do, sir.
You have two variables. You have two variables, age and career. Please enter the current year and age. Current year, age equals age, retirement. Now, in this case, retirement year has not been declared, has it?
Yes.
Declare that retirement year first.
How to do?
On line number 6, where you declare age and current year, you also declare retirement year.
Line number 6.
Correct.
Oh, this ah.
Yes.
Then is it, sir?
Then now try to compile. No errors, try to run. Current year,
Current year.
is it? Retirement year is 1961, is it?
Yes.
Are you sure? How come now is 2021? He's 60 years old this year. But his retirement was in 1961, is it?
Wrong.
Isn't it?
No, wait, go backward.
Press enter, press enter, press any key to continue. So, you have to change the process.
Process.
Yes, you have to change the process. How do you do that? You know that the retirement year is at 60 years old, correct?
Yes.
So if this is 2021 and you are 60 years old, meaning to say your your retirement year is 2021. Right? Or is it not correct?
Wait, sir, I can clearly hear you.
All right. Oh, hold on. Sorry. I forgot to put my microphone on. That's why. Again, if this is 2021
Yes.
and you are already 60 years old,
Yes.
when will you retire?
21, 60 years old.
Check the questions. What is the retirement age? Check the question. What is the retirement age? Retirement age is 60, correct? If you are already 60 years old in 2021, meaning to say you retire this year.
Yes.
Yes. So how do you do the calculation? How do you do the calculation? In your opinion, how do you want to calculate? This is 2021. You are 60 years old. Your retirement year is 2021. Correct?
Yes.
If you are 50 years old, this is 2021. When will you retire? Hmm? When will you retire?
2020, 2000 and 2010.
2010. You are only 50 years old this year. How can you retire in 2010? Now it's already 2021 and you're still working. Correct?
I can brain, sir.
Huh? No. Let's put this into perspective. You are 50 years old this year.
Yes.
Okay? You are 50 years old this year. Imagine. You will retire when you are 60. When will you retire?
2031.
There you go. How do you calculate?
Plus 10.
Plus 10.
Current year plus 10.
The current year you plus 10.
Yes.
How do you get that 10? How do you get that 10? How do you get that 10? How do you know it's 10? This is problem solving, class? Class.
Yes, sir.
This is problem solving. I understand that you know. Okay, I am 50 years old. I'm going to retire at 60. So, in the next 10 years, I will retire. But how do you get that 10? How do you know it's 10? The computer doesn't know that. How do you calculate that? Right? What's the formula?
60 minus your current age.
Come again?
60 minus current age.
60 minus current age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus the current year.
Plus the current year. Is that correct?
I got that.
Now, try. Khalida, you try. Retirement year.
Menu.
Equal 60 minus age plus career. Right. Try to compile and run. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Try to change your current age. Enter and run. Enter. Run. You're 50 years old.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm.
All right. That is problem solving, class? Thank you. Now, I believe you get some idea now. I'm sure everyone can calculate that on your head. No problem. Yeah? And the moment you know that this year is 2021, you are 50 years old. You will retire at 60. So you calculate Okay, plus 10, you will retire in 2031. But then again, for the computer doesn't know how to do that. You have to specify the formula. This is where problem solving comes in handy. How do you get that? 10. So 60, which is the retirement age, minus your current age, you plus with the current year, and you will get your retirement year. Easy?
Yes.
I will try.
Again, yeah, I'm sure quite a number of you have got the concept of that. But we'll have a look at the next question. Yeah, we'll have a look at the next question. Question number 4. See, question number 4. A finance company will give a loan to a customer for buying a car. Assume a customer receives an amount of 100,000 ringgit for the loan, and interest rate is 3.5% per year. The period of repayment is for 10 years. You need to calculate the amount of interest and how much the customers owe in total. Right? Understand the question?
Not really.
Yeah?
Yes.
I understand. Okay, so
Go on, go on. Okay. What's the case here? You want to apply for a loan. The amount of the loan is 100,000 ringgit. But the bank put an interest of 3.5% per year over the cost. You will pay back to the bank within the span of 10 years. How much is the interest and how much is the total that the customer must pay for the bank? All right?
All right.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy. You have to understand the question. Come up. If I were you, I would write down on paper first. Do the calculation, get the formula for the process part. Next, only you can start to code. Yeah, try to do that. Well, of course, we can use the long way, the one that we've learned. Basically, you design, you do something like that. But then again, we want to have a look at, since this is the beginning of the classes, we might as well just try to get the formula right and try to work on the implementation, the coding. How about you try to spend 15 minutes on this?
All right.
All right, try to work for it for 15 minutes and we'll. All right, that's what I get. That's what I get. Loan 100,000 duration. Oh, maybe I can change something.
All right. Yeah.
I want to change something, so I'll stop presenting for now. Do something like this. Now that I've changed something like this. Can we have a look at what you've accomplished so far?
Yeah.
Yes. Can I now we can see.
Yang tadi saya terpangkah rasa tak.
Never mind, you have already saved it. Test loan. No. File. I see. Try test loan.
Loan.
Go down. Down. No.
Ah,
File. Go down. There you
ni.
go. Yeah.
Push.
But
No,
that's
no.
from. Oh,
Bukan. Bukan.
that's from Telegram.
Ah,
That's from Telegram.
Telegram.
Yes. That is being shared through Telegram.
Oh, maybe this is my brother.
Alright.
Buat separuh tadi.
Now, which one?
Balik.
No, before you get into that.
Huh?
Before you get into this.
Before what?
Now, before you start typing, before you start working on the code, how about you try to do the calculation manually? How do you calculate?
Oh.
Remove the line. All right, put there, loan amount. How much is that?
100,000.
Put it down. What's the interest?
3.5%.
Next line. Interest rate. All right. Seniorship, duration. How much? Maybe I get it wrong as well. Hey, hold on. Duration. How long is the loan?
What?
How long do you have to save at the bank?
10 years.
There you go.
Next line.
Yes, write it down. The duration is 10 years.
Yes, 10 years.
So, what is the total interest that you have to pay to the bank?
3.5%.
Do the formula. Do the calculation on here.
Oh. 3,500.
How do you know?
Saya kira tadi.
How? Write it down.
100,000 darab 35%.
So that's the interest. Are you sure?
That is right. Yes.
Class, is that correct?
What?
No.
How much is the interest?
Interest is year times interest. Total interest.
Come again? Write the formula. Alif, write the formula. How did you get? Yes, how did you get the interest?
Oh.
How did you perform the calculation? Go to the next line.
Bahagi macam mana? Ni. Bahagi 35 darab 100.
Open the calculator. Open the calculator.
Sana.
Run the calculator lah. Type here to search. No. That was right. Don't delete. We need to see this. Why do you want to keep everything hidden? We want to show everyone how to perform the calculation. We need the formula.
Sorry, sorry.
Yes.
Calculator. Oh, ada.
Drag it somewhere so that you do not hide your code behind it. No, hide the calculator somewhere else. There you go. That's fine. Yes. Do the calculation.
Tak boleh buat ini. Ustaz.
Now, why did you close that? All right.
Tadi buat lepas sikit. Ustaz. C. Oh.
Do you know how to use calculator?
I first time use in computer.
Ada nak say?
100,000
Okay.
bagi. Hai. Tak boleh, kena darat dulu. Macam mana? I don't know, sir.
You mean you don't know how to calculate? How do you want to solve?
Hai. 300. Dalam 4K. Silap tulis ni.
So what is this?
3,500.
What is it?
Darat. In the interest rate.
This is not interest rate. This is the interest.
Oh, interest. Darat 10.
Why?
10 years.
Right? So how much is the interest?
Dari 35,000.
So how much are you basically owing the bank?
100,000.
Right? How much do you have to pay back to the bank?
135,000.
There you go. There you go.
Betul.
So, yes. Now put that into quotes. No, before you put into quotes, do the formula. Do the
Include
formula,
tu.
the correct formula.
Include.
Now, calculate the total amount of the total amount of interest. How did you do that?
Tadi buat apa? Darat 10. Ya. Eh. Yes, sir.
I don't know. Run calculator.
Allah, hilang. Lepas tu darab 10 35,000.
How to do that? 100,000?
Darab 10.
Are you sure?
Ah?
Look at the statement again. Look at the line again. How did you do it?
um, 35. Oh, bahagi 35.
How
Oh,
did you do it?
ni salah ni kan? Eh. Eh.
All right.
Ya.
Yes.
Yes.
So what is 100,000 then?
Tambah
What is 100,000?
loan amount.
The loan amount.
Ah,
What is 3.5?
interest rate.
The interest rate is 3.5%,
Oh, interest.
isn't it? Interest rate is 3.5%.
Ya.
How about instead of 3.5 divided by 100, you simply move the floating number to 0.035. Multiply by 0.035. Isn't it? You know that
Yes.
is the interest rate. Now change that. So instead of 3.5 over 100, we change to 0.035. Do you know what it's not?
No.
Have you seen COVID-19 update?
Oh, okay. Tu.
Not that one. I'm talking about interest rate.
I don't know.
Which part of it? Now highlight to me which part of your statement is the interest.
Ah,
Not that one. In the statement, line number 4. Which
Okay.
one is the interest?
ni.
Highlight. No, that's not it. Class,
Oh,
is that the interest rate?
No.
No.
ni.
No.
Bukan?
No. That's the interest amount.
Oh, okay.
Hello, I'm a boy.
Highlight to me the interest rate. No, highlight, not to write.
Oh.
Let me go on. Highlight to me the interest rate. Not that one. In line number 4. Now highlight to me what is the interest rate. No. No. Look. Let's be clear. Line number 2. Line number 2 clearly states that the interest rate is 3.5%. Correct?
Yes.
3.5% is 3.5 divided by, what is 3.5%? 3.5 divided by 100, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So the interest rate is 3.5 divided by 100. Now
Ni.
highlight that. There you go. That is
Oh,
the
okay.
interest rate. Now instead of doing 3.5 divided by 100, how about if you move the floating number to become 0.035? Basically, you shift the float to the left because it divides, isn't it? Divide by 100. You move it to the left. How many zeros? 2. Now move 2 to the left. Becomes 0.035, isn't it?
Yes.
There you go. Change that part. No, change only that part. The interest rate.
Ni, yang ni je.
Ah, there you go. Yes. Only the interest rate.
Ni.
Only the interest rate that becomes 0.035.
0. 0.
Is there still a need for divide by 100?
No.
No.
Ah.
Now, remove that divide by 100 because we have solved for that part. Right?
Yes.
Are they not the same?
Ah, sama.
Huh. Are they not the same?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes what?
Sama.
Yes, they are the same. So, what is 100,000? What is it? What is 100,000? Come again.
Loan amount.
Loan amount. What is
Yes.
0.035?
Interest rate.
The interest rate. What is 10?
Years of semua ni. Berapa
Yes. Basically in banking term, it's loan tenureship, isn't it? Loan duration.
Oh, loan duration.
And what do you get out of this? When you solve for this equation, what do you get? What is 35,000?
35. Ha?
What is 35,000?
Loan amount.
Hey,
Interest rate amount.
100,000 for loan amount. What is 35,000?
Interest rate amount.
Not the interest rate amount, but the total interest.
The total interest.
The total interest for the loan.
For the loan.
Now, from this statement, what are the variables?
10 years.
Basically, start from the very beginning. What are the variables? We name the variables now. What are the variables?
I don't
First
know.
is 100,000. What is it?
Loan amount.
There you go. Loan amount. Write down underneath line number 5. Loan. And no. Make that into a single word. No space in between. If you want to, there you go. Loan amount. What is the data type? What is the data type? Loan amount. What is the data type?
Data type.
Yes. 100,000. What is the data type? Data type. We covered data type earlier: integer, float, long.
Float.
There you go. Put float before loan amount. Put float before loan amount.
Before. Allah. Okay.
Right. Next line. What is the next variable?
Say out.
No. Variable. You notice the first variable is loan amount. What is 0.035?
Double.
What is it?
Increase.
Variable name.
Huh?
Identifier. Variable name. What is 0.035?
I can't
Now.
remember.
Dah pukul 1 dah lah. Allah. Okay. I'm changing my language. 0.035 tu apa dia?
Interest rate.
Tulis situ. Interest. Apa data type dia? Pergi kat depan balik. Apa data type dia? 0.035.
Oh.
Data type dia apa dah? No, tak payah tulis itulah. Apa data type dia? Cepat.
Tengok kat mana?
Type macam number 5 lah. Kita type data type.
Oh. Float ke?
Ya, float jugalah.
Oh.
Sebab dia ada nombor titik perpuluhan. Betul?
Betul.
10. Apa dia 10 tu?
Float.
No, apa dia?
Oh, yes. Loan duration.
Yes. Data type dia apa?
Float ke?
Mana boleh float, dia tak ada nombor. Tahun ada? Atau umur berapa lah ni?
17.
Point? Tak ada kan? Tak sebut kan?
Tak ada.
Tak sebut kan? Harap 17 kan? Sama macam ni tahun. Tahun dia tak ada perpilihan lah. Dia number whole terus macam tu. So dia integer.
Anti-main tu.
INT bukan main.
Oh,
INT.
anti dah.
Di bawah dia pula. INT. Duration. Right. Kat belakang sekali 35,000 tu apa dia?
Total interest rate.
There you go. Data type dia apa dia?
Float.
There you go. Tulis itu float. Total interest. Jangan ada space pasal kita nak jadi ni.
Jauh tu. Interest.
Now, notice kat sini kita dah create berapa variable?
8.
Mana ada
4.
4. There you go. Ada 4 variable. So kita akan tanya user nanti. Berapa loan amount? Kita masukkan ke dalam loan amount. Berapa interest? Kita akan masukkan dalam interest. Berapa duration? Kita akan masukkan dalam duration. Lepas tu kita boleh calculate guna formula tu, letak result dia ke dalam total interest. Betul tak?
Betul.
Faham tak?
Faham.
Bila kita see in, kita see in loan amount, kita see in 10,000, dia akan masuk ke dalam loan amount. Betul tak?
Interest betul.